There's a new Japanese drama that's based on an award-winning movie of the same name. The Journalist is now debuting on Netflix, so is it going to be on your watch list? A journalist known as a maverick of news media defiantly chases the truth in a government cover-up. Now, I've not seen the movie that this series is based on, but my guess is that they follow similar premises, especially given the fact that the director of the film is the same one who directed the series. There are a handful of key players that follow seemingly separate-ish storylines, but these all intersect and do come together to form one cohesive drama. And this is a slower burn of a series. In fact, most of the first episode, it failed to even grab my attention. And that's mostly because of the topics that were being introduced as the story drivers. There's politics and some sort of either land dispute or corruption when it came to acquiring land. These are not normally intriguing topics for me, but as the first episode concluded, I had become more invested in what was going on. The story had begun to focus more on the fraud, deception, and then the investigation into those happenings. The score in this whole series is beautiful, but sometimes it's overused or it competes with the dialogue. There are some times where the tone of the music is also counterintuitive to the emotionality of the sequences. And this was especially evident in episode 2. There were some sequences that just felt very confusing because of the music choices, and then the volume at which they came across within the story. It was just overpowered. The cinematography is wonderful the majority of the time. I loved the establishing aerial shots that we get of the city, and which looks incredibly crowded and then daunting, despite the peaceful way that the shots come across. There are also times where the camera captures the intense emotion of a character in intimate ways, and these help to translate what the characters are unmistakably feeling through the screen. That being said, there are a few times where the cinematography doesn't work, especially in instances where the camera will just ominously zoom in on an overly dramatic facial expression of the character. Now, this isn't really a binging show, I think. The pace of the drama is quite slow, even though that there are portions that are very emotionally engaging. Now, I watched 1 or 2 episodes a day, but never felt that nagging urgency that I had to watch the next episode just immediately after the previous one had ended. There are 6 episodes that vary between 45 minutes to close to an hour in length, and they don't rush the story at all. In fact, it may drag some of it out more than it's necessary. The themes that this covers are pretty engaging, even though it heavily focuses on issues within Japanese society. What makes them engaging is that the issues are pretty universal, even if the specifics are not. We see governmental cover-ups, coercion, and threats by powerful entities, real truth being touted as fake news, and then even corruption and fraud by people in power whose actions affect many under them. I really enjoyed the conflict that several characters experience when it comes to honor and integrity versus adhering to their duty and service to the bureaucracy, which may not always allow for them to speak freely. This is especially intriguing when put into a culture and society that upholds honor to such a high degree. And even though this is a slower series, it's not without some shocking moments. There was one sequence that was totally unexpected for me, which then sets off one of the major storylines. It's a gut punch moment, but one that didn't feel out of place or forced in any way. The actors do a wonderful job of showcasing so many different emotions. For being somewhat reserved in their deliveries, they are incredibly powerful and know how to effectively bring forth devastation, hopelessness, anger, even fury, all while having this restraint and reverence. I like that there are a few characters who are clearly villains, several that are clearly the protagonists, and then we get some that could go either way. Their actions and behaviors make it feel like they could lean more towards the antagonist side, but the way that some are emotionally distraught or maybe even internally conflicted could make them sympathetic protagonists. The huge variation within the players, I thought was pretty enjoyable. As the story wraps up, we do get some resolution and even a bit of happiness, but the ending was also a bit schmaltzy and perhaps maybe a bit forced, just in an effort to make some of the more minor storylines wrap up nicely. So overall, The Journalist is a slow burn drama with some good social commentary regarding those in power and their responsibilities to the people that they supposedly serve. The characters are varied and complex, using restraint to create emotionally charged performances. The topics and themes may not resonate with everyone, which can also be hampered by the slowness of the presentation. But for those that choose to engage, this can be an engaging drama. There's no sex or nudity, but there is some profanity and violence, including self-harm. I give The Journalist 3.5 out of 5 couches. What's a show or series you're looking forward to checking out this month? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.